The topic of our session today is looking at how students with disabilities can benefit from participating in different activities on campus. Joining us today from AHEAD are Caoimhe Cronin, Student Engagement Officer, and Alice Hartigan, one of our WAM Project Officers, who will share their own experiences of getting involved in their student unions, clubs and societies, acting as class reps, and how these experiences helps to develop the employability skills that have supported them in their own employment journey. So just to give you a bit of introduction to both of our speakers. So Alice has a bachelor's degree in makeup and character design from IADT. During her time in college, she was class rep for 3 years and chair of a large college society. During this time, she honed her creative skills and developed a keen eye for detail. With a deep passion for advocacy, politics, and social justice issues, Alice was elected president of the IADT Students' Union. After her time in IADT, Alice pursued further education, earning a postgraduate certificate in equality, diversity, and inclusion from the University of Limerick. Having worked in the mental health sector for a number of years before coming to AHEAD, Alice is driven by a commitment to fostering inclusivity and understanding, dedicated to promoting diversity, inclusion, and mental health awareness, as well as cultivating a positive workplace culture. Moving to Caoimhe then, so Caoimhe holds a bachelor's degree in fine art, applied materials from NCAD. During her studies, Caoimhe was a class rep for 4 years, as well as working with the Access programme each summer to deliver the Creative Arts Summer School. She saw that there was a lot of inequality when it came to studying something creative in Ireland, and realised that she had a passion for advocacy, social justice issues, and student support. She then ran for a student union in 2020 and was elected vice president, and she then re-ran for election and was elected president in 2021, where she worked on local period poverty campaigns, national cost of college campaigns, and everything in between. After her term ended, Caoimhe then went on to study business in cultural event management in IADT, and is now studying her master's in art and social action at NCAD, and working as a student engagement officer in AHEAD, where she gets to further develop and share the skills she learned in the SU. So thank you both so much for being here today. I'll let you come in there and kick things off. Thanks, Bamba.
Great, thanks so much for having us, Bamba. So I am going to share the slides. So just give me a second there. So you might let me know if this is working for you.
Looks good. Yeah, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Great. So Caoimhe, I know you're going to kick off the first few slides, so I'll run through them, and if you want to have a chat through the slides.
Yeah, for sure. I might just go over the fact that I was in the student union, and how it was one of the best experiences I ever did. But one of the reasons that I ran for the student union is because I was a class rep for 4 years, and I saw how helpful it could be, and the skills that you can gain from those things, from getting involved in things like this. So we're going to be talking about being a class rep, the clubs and societies you can join or create yourself, the students' union, the benefits to students with disabilities when applying for these roles or getting involved in these roles, the opportunities that you can find within your college, and then a brief Q&A. I just changed slide there. So class reps. So a class rep is the bridge between the institution and the students. They're not meant to be a note taker or a class life coach, but instead facilitate feedback by communicating regularly with the class and the course coordinator. You can gain many skills from being a class rep, including leadership, communication, mediation, advocacy, and networking. So for leadership, your classmates may look to you for issues that your class faces, like timetabling issues. Communication and mediation is something that you will have to deal with, where you may have to negotiate with academic departments or lecturers on matters such as extending deadlines or class rearranging. Your advocacy skills, so you'll learn how to speak on behalf of your classmates at several different levels, including class rep council and faculty meetings. And then networking, which is probably the most enjoyable skill, is to be responsible for organising class events, trips, protests. They're crucial in developing the group spirit among your class and ensuring that no one is left out. So why get involved? The role empowers you to create positive change by giving you the training to support fellow students and developing your skill set. It lifts you into proactive listening spaces with other representatives. And it's just gaining all these different skills that you may not gain from the college course itself. So what's involved in being a class rep? You'd have to attend class rep council and report on the successes and the concerns of your class. You can build relationship with your lecturers, tutors, and fellow classmates to stay in contact and communicate clearly. You can promote student feedback opportunities to your class to improve this institution experience, such as the student feedback surveys or various student forums. And you can close the feedback loop by gathering feedback and communicating it with the relevant person. I feel like it can often feel like when you have an issue, you don't know where to turn to, but that's who your class rep, that's what your class rep is for. They'll know where to go. And then you have to remember that you are just a messenger. You're not a problem solver. So you are just delivering the communication. You're not trying to fix the issue that is at hand.
And I might just jump in there, like, because as Caoimhe, I was class rep as well, and I think exactly you said, I kind of got involved in the Students' Union because I was involved in class reps, so I was really well known around the Student Union, and I understood how that process worked. And for me, one of my kind of, I suppose, like natural skill sets that I had as a young person was being organized and wanting to be the person kind of in charge. So class rep was kind of a natural fit for me. And it was a great way for me to kind of like improve those skills that were kind of already naturally there. So it's something to think about. Like if you have really naturally existing organizational skills, it might be a really good opportunity for you to develop them further.
For sure. And if you're interested in any issues or there's something that's not sitting right with you in class, like you can definitely go to your class rep or become the class rep yourself, and you'll see everything that you can do in that position.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about clubs and socks. So I guess what are clubs and socks? Well, they're set up by students kind of for the benefit of other students. They're a great way of making friends, getting new skills, and kind of generally enjoying your time in college. You know, for a lot of college courses, the coursework can be quite intense. And though while you might be interested in it, there's a lot of extracurricular activities that you might want to get involved in. So like in my college in IDT, there were loads of clubs and socks and of all different types of interests as well. So like I was really involved in my LGBT society, but there was a very active drama sock that put on theater shows. There was a debate society that was very active, and like they just loved debating each other. So like there, whatever interest you have, there generally tends to be a society for it. So I guess the question is, how do you kind of get involved? So there's a few ways. Firstly, you can just join a society. So I know in my campus and many campuses might hold kind of like at the start of term, usually like a hosting stand of all the different clubs and societies, so you can see what's available. You can walk around and talk to people, and you can sign up to be one of their members. And if there isn't a society that kind of piques your interest and you think, oh, I wish there was something for, I don't know, like if you like playing D&D, you can make your own society. It's quite straightforward in most colleges in terms of setting them up. And I think you'll be really surprised at how many people have the same interests as you, even if it is something that's quite niche. It generally tends to attract people of the same kind of values and interests and hobbies together. Again, so it's a great way of making friends with people who are like-minded. If you want to get more involved in a society or a club, you can actually run for a committee member. So clubs and socks are usually kind of run by committees, and those committees are made up of a variety of roles. So someone then will be like chair or president of the committee, and there'll be like an events officer. There'll usually be like a treasurer as well to look after the finances. And depending on the college and depending on the society, some of those committees can be quite large. There can be quite a few roles in them. So if you want to get more involved and you're really passionate about that society, you can basically be running that society. And again, it's a great way of developing skills, because if you're the president, say, of that society, then you're kind of networking with the members of the society. You're setting up kind of committee meetings and taking notes about the plans for the year. If you're the events officer, for example, that can be a really creative opportunity in, you know, creating posters and setting up events and organizing nights out for your society as well. So there's loads of skills you can develop in clubs and socks, and no matter what kind of the topic is. So there's kind of like teamwork and leadership. Like, as I said, if you're the chair of the society, you're in a really high level leadership role there. But even just as a member, you can be doing a lot of leadership type activities and lots of teamwork. I mean, these are kind of societies and groups to kind of spend social time together. So there's lots of teamwork type building activities that you can do. there's tons of networking. So again, if you're joining a society or a club, you're joining with a group of other people who have the same interests as you. So you're networking with them a lot. And very often what we used to do is we might put on an event with a society from a different college. So like, for example, a lot of the common LGBT societies around Dublin would do lots of events together so that they could meet people from different campuses, but you still have the same interests. So there was a lot of networking in that regard. Again, creativity, hosting events, making posters, coming up with new and fresh ideas. And there's also kind of stuff that people might forget about is there's a lot of kind of financial management and budgeting aspects of clubs and SOCs. So most clubs and societies can get funding from their college, but in order to do that, you have to apply and usually submit kind of a report or a request for funding, and you have to meet with college officials, and it's kind of an intense enough process, but you gain so much skills from doing that in terms of financial management, again, networking, talking to college officials about why you need that much money, how you're going to spend it. So there's lots of skills that can be gained with clubs and SOCs, but most importantly, you can gain confidence while having a lot of fun on campus. So Caoimhe, I think you're going to speak a bit about student unions.
I'm going to go into the student union thing. So every college has a student union. It's the representative body for the students of the college, and you automatically become a member when you register with your college. Depending on your college, the student union can have 2 full-time officers, it's usually a president and a vice president, who can act as the welfare or education officer as well. But there's also a range of part-time officers, which range from disability officers, equality officers, welfare officers. If you look into any of your student unions in your individual campuses, you'll find a list of all the officers that are in your campus. What do student unions do? They are involved in nearly everything to do with the college and students' issues concerning inside and outside of their local campus. So as a student of the college, you have the right to run for election and to vote for student union officers, having a say in how your union represents you and what they do during their term. The student union is also a valuable resource in terms of managing issues from accommodation to financial and welfare. And they often run many awareness weeks throughout the year. So keep an eye out for their social media or their dedicated website to make sure you stay up to date on all the events and awareness weeks that they're running.
Great. Yeah, so I might just expand a little bit on the students' union. So as Bamba said in the introduction, me and Caoimhe were both involved in our students' unions and were elected to positions in those student unions. So there's lots of ways of getting involved in SUs. But why would you get involved? You can build, again, loads of skills. Similarly to clubs and SOCs, there's tons of skills that you can build, and we'll go through them in a little while. But again, you can meet new people. And again, similar to clubs and SOCs, you can kind of meet new people who might have the same values or interests as you. Many people that get involved in student unions might be getting involved because they really care about social issues, or they care really deeply about the education on campus or how the campus is run by the college. So you often meet people who might have the same kind of values as you. And again, you can develop a lot of confidence. So there's lots of things that are involved in running for SUs. Again, similarly to clubs and SOCs, you run for election. What's involved in that is you often have to make speeches, you have to ask people for their votes. So again, there's tons of networking. It's just on a bigger scale, I suppose, than clubs and SOCs. While clubs and SOCs, you're kind of networking within the club and SOC. In the Students' Union, if you're asking people for votes, you are essentially walking around campus asking hundreds of people for votes. So you really build up networking skills. And then when you're in the union, if you get elected, you can sit on like college committees. So for me, when in my role, I was sitting on like the governing body of the college with really senior officials of that institution, talking about the governance around the college. But I also sat on like the student experience committee, just to give the SU perspective on what the students were actually saying day to day. So again, you're meeting officials throughout the college in senior roles, and that's another great way of networking and just building your confidence in like leadership and advocacy. So again, you're advocating for students in a number of different ways. Again, you are also creating events. So there's usually an events officer. But I know for a lot of the smaller unions, like the one I was involved in, it was kind of all hands on deck because the events officer was part-time and still a full-time student. So a lot of the time, you know, me and the 2 other full-time members were kind of creating those events and booking acts and dealing with the finances and dealing with like band managers and things that you don't really think of. So you're building up a lot of skills in that regard, and you're leading teams. So again, what skills will you gain? Well, there's tons, and I won't go through them all, but there's some kind of ones that are quite obvious. So communication, like you're talking to people day in, day out, and that could be students on the ground, it could be your fellow SU officers, but it could be college officials and external stakeholders as well. There's a lot of negotiation skills. Similarly to clubs and socks, you might be talking to the college about, fixing something on campus. I spent a long time trying to get an ATM on campus at one point, which didn't actually go anywhere, but it was something that the students wanted. So it was my job to advocate for that. Again, lots of networking skills that can be built. Tons of leadership skills. And again, back to the financial management, a big part of students' unions is organizing and managing your own finances, and depending on your student union, that can be quite a lot of money for a 23, 24-year-old to see. So there's a huge upward kind of battle in learning all of that, but at the end of it, you actually come out a year later realizing you can organize a budget of like hundreds of thousands potentially, and that's a huge skill to have going into the workplace. And again, event management, lots of advocacy skills. Again, you're meeting students every single day. Like you could be advocating, as Caoimhe said, about like campus accommodation, or I once had endless conversations about the workspaces in the art college, that there wasn't enough space for all the students, that they'd taken on too many students per class, things like that, like kind of serious issues that you're dealing with, like high-ranking officials in the college for. So you're developing tons of skills. So Caoimhe, I think you might be speaking about the benefits to students with disabilities.
Definitely. So there's loads of benefits in getting involved, especially for students with disabilities. You get to promote a more inclusive campus environment, and by advocating for accessibility and accommodation in student activities, you can become a voice for the disabled community within your college. You're also empowering other students to advocate for themselves and others, and you're building support networks around different classes, different experiences, and you're finding allies and mentors kind of everywhere you go. So it's all about just getting involved, asking the questions, going up and talking to people, seeing their experience. You'd really be surprised at how effective that can be and how helpful it can be when developing these transferable skills going into the workplace. And I think that's everything. Yeah.
Great. And so again, I think we've talked about a few different things, but there's loads of ways of kind of finding opportunities around campus. So you can attend events hosted by the SU and by the college. Caoimhe, I think, kind of alluded to this previously, but like the SU run tons of events throughout the year. There's things like RAG Week, which is Raise and Give Week, which is meant to be about hosting events and raising money for charity. But there's Freshers Week and all sorts of themed weeks throughout the year. So you don't need to be in a society or a union to be involved in those things. Like, for example, lots of student unions might have event teams that are just made up of students who help out at those events. They might be volunteering. So there's great ways of getting involved in that regard. Again, as we said, check out the institution's website for opportunities, and also just to note that while the institution itself might have a website or social media, the Students' Union often has its separate website or social media. So there's actually two kind of resources there to be aware of. Talk to your student union and previous class reps, maybe get their experience and their advice on like what they thought, how to get involved, or the pros and cons of everything. And again, if there isn't an opportunity but you have a great idea, you can create that. Like, I know students unions, from my experience, would love for students to come up to them with a new idea that they haven't thought of before, and really get involved and kind of take ownership over that. And again, if you want to see an event on campus, you can create it.
Just to emphasize how much student unions would appreciate that, because they feel like it is such a large workload when you're in the student union that it can be quite overwhelming, and seeing students get involved can be not only beneficial to the student union, but also shows other students that they can get involved as well. And then it kind of spider webs out or spreads out and everyone gets involved, and it's great. So part of my role I'm the student engagement officer. So I work with student unions across the country. I also work with students across the country in the Students with Disabilities Advisory Group. So the group is formed annually, and they usually meet 4 to 5 times a year, usually online. And the purpose of the group is to inform the work of the HEAD and USI, which is the Union of Students in Ireland, which is the national representative body of all the student unions in the Republic of Ireland. and the North, excuse me, all of Ireland. So the work that the Students with Disabilities Advisory Group do would be particularly around the inclusion of students with disabilities in furthering higher education. The past 4 years has been a really successful group. They've been involved in the development of the AHEAD strategy, the development of the Power of Disability event, which we run every January/February. And they've spoken at the AHEAD conference, influenced policy submissions for both AHEAD and USI, and they highlight legislative changes and provide feedback to both AHEAD and USI. So we're going to have applications open for that at the end of September, early October. So keep your eyes peeled for the applications. And yeah, well, we'd be looking forward to lots of students applying. So we hope that you do get involved, or if you know someone who you think would be good at getting involved in this, send it on to them.
Yeah, and I might just like add in there is that like things like this, the Students with Disability Advisory Group, like that's another great way of getting involved in something that isn't necessarily to do with your coursework, but you might meet people of similar values, similar interests that are really advocating for something that's important to them. So all of these things that we've spoken about are really great transferable skills for the workplace. And to give you like maybe a real life example, when I was much younger than I am now, I went for like a waitressing job, like one of the first jobs I applied for, and I had no technical work experience. I'd never worked before. I was a student, but I had never actually been in the workplace. And so my CV was just any volunteering thing I had done. So, I was in clubs and socks, but I used to, because I was really interested in art, I used to like volunteer at art shows. I was in scouts my whole life, so I volunteered at like triathlons, handing out orders, things like that. That's what my CV was for a long time. And I got that job, and the hiring manager told me that he liked my CV because I was interested in extracurricular activities. So those things do happen in real life, that you don't need real life work experience to actually get your foot in the door somewhere. But getting involved in these extracurricular things or volunteering is a great way of kind of developing those skills in a non-traditional sense. So Bamba, I might just pass over to you to give a chat about Get Ahead generally.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. So thank you both as well for running through all of that. It's fantastic to see how much you've learned yourselves from your time in college and how that's transferred over into your careers. So I'm just going to give some insights in general into Get Ahead before we finish up. So Get Ahead is an initiative of AHEAD which has been running since 2005 and works to upskill students and graduates with disabilities by providing training events and valuable information across a wide range of topics and resources. So throughout the year, we hold various events like our workshop today, so our Think Twice employability workshops, as well as Building the Future. So this is our annual careers fair, specifically for students and graduates with disabilities. As you can see here as well, we also have our blog that covers a wide range of topics from lots of different authors, including students and graduates like yourselves. The articles mainly look at the general theme of student life, disability and employment. So our latest blog was written by an external contributor, Niall O'Keefe, and he runs through his employment journey as someone living with bipolar. As well as that, under Get Ahead, we have compiled various resources that will support you in your hunt for a role. This includes information on the key pieces of employment legislation that specifically affect students and graduates with disabilities, as well as workplace grants, schemes available, guidance around common reasonable accommodations in the workplace. We do also have several publications like our disclosure booklet, and a practical workbook to help you maximize your job application. You can find lots of other really helpful information on the AHEAD website, which covers job seeking tips, CV writing, interview tips, writing a cover letter, etc. As well as that, I do want to highlight the importance of joining the WAM Works database. So not only will you get notifications about the roles that AHEAD have advertised, which are ring-fenced specifically for students and graduates with disabilities, you'll also get notifications about our various events throughout the year. So I'll pop that link in the chat now for you. I'll just stop the recording and see if anyone has any questions at all.